If you walk through the financial district of London today, one building feels different from all the rest. It looks less like an office and more like a fortress. High, windowless walls stretch across an entire city block, solid and unyielding as if carved from stone. Guards in ceremonial uniforms stand watch, symbols of tradition and authority. This is the Bank of England, often called the Old Lady of Threadneedle Street. To most people, it represents stability, permanence, and order. It feels ancient, inevitable, as if it has always existed. But that feeling is an illusion. The Bank of England was not born from calm planning or cautious wisdom. It was born from desperation. It did not emerge to protect savings or encourage thrift. It was created to solve an emergency, to fund a war that England was in danger of losing. And its architect was not a careful academic or a noble statesman, but a restless, ambitious man named William Paterson, a man who was part visionary, part gambler, and, according to rumor, part pirate. To understand how modern money and government debt truly began, we have to travel back to London in 1694. This was not the polished capital we know today. It was a city still scarred by the Great Fire and haunted by memories of plague. The streets were crowded, noisy, and filthy, filled with merchants, sailors, thieves, and spies. Above all, it was a city that was broke. England's ruler, King William III, was locked in a massive conflict with Louis XIV of France, the most powerful monarch in Europe. This war stretched across land and sea and consumed enormous resources. Cannons, ships, uniforms, gunpowder, and tens of thousands of soldiers all had to be paid for day after day. The English Treasury could not keep up. The tax system was outdated and inefficient. New taxes on land, windows, and salt barely made a dent. Soldiers went unpaid, suppliers refused to deliver goods, and ships sat rotting in port. When the French Navy scored a major victory, panic spread through London. The threat of invasion suddenly felt real. King William needed money immediately, not promises, not future taxes, but hard cash. Traditionally, kings turned to goldsmiths for loans, but the goldsmiths remembered past betrayals. Just 2 decades earlier, King Charles II had simply refused to repay his debts, destroying trust and ruining families. So when William III came asking for money, the goldsmiths demanded crushing interest rates and strict guarantees. Some refused outright. England's government even tried issuing debt in the form of tally sticks, wooden notched records split in half to verify debts. It was an ancient system, clumsy and inadequate for modern warfare. England was losing not because it lacked courage, but because it lacked cash. That was when William Paterson stepped forward. Born in Scotland in 1658, Paterson came from modest origins but possessed extraordinary ambition. As a young man, he traveled to the Caribbean during the golden age of piracy. What he did there remains unclear. He claimed to be a merchant and preacher, but rumors followed him back to London, whispers of buccaneering and risky ventures. What mattered was that he returned wealthy, confident, and full of ideas. He had seen how the Dutch financed their state through public banking, borrowing cheaply and efficiently, but Paterson wanted to go further. His proposal was radical. He suggested forming a private company that would raise a massive sum, £1.2 million, from investors. This company would lend the entire amount to the government at a fixed interest rate. In exchange, the company would receive a royal charter granting it a special privilege, the right to issue paper notes equal to the value of the loan. Even though the gold would be gone, spent on war, the bank could still circulate paper claims as money. These notes would be trusted because they were backed by government debt. This was the breakthrough. The same money could be used twice, first as gold loaned to the state, then as paper lent to the public. Interest would be earned on both. Paterson openly admitted the logic. The bank would earn interest on money it created out of nothing. This was the birth of fractional reserve banking and fiat currency. To many, it sounded like fraud. To the king, it sounded like salvation. Despite fierce opposition from landowners and goldsmiths, the plan moved forward. In June 1994, subscriptions opened. Investors flooded in. Merchants, aristocrats, widows, and even the king and queen themselves rushed to participate.
The entire sum was raised in just 11 days. Wagons of gold rolled into government coffers. Soldiers were paid, ships repaired, and supplies restored. England's war effort revived almost overnight. France was stunned. England had learned to fight on credit. The Bank of England was born. Paterson became a director, but his restless nature soon caused friction. He wanted bold schemes and rapid expansion. Other directors wanted caution and stability. Within a year, Paterson was forced out of the institution he created. Ironically, the father of modern central banking was removed before his creation fully matured. The bank soon faced its first true test. England's silver coinage had been degraded by clipping for decades. When the government attempted a massive recall and recoinage, it mishandled the process. Coin disappeared from circulation. Panic spread. People rushed to the bank demanding gold. The bank did not have enough. Payments were partially suspended. It looked like collapse. The government intervened with a crucial decision. Taxes could now be paid using Bank of England notes. This single act forced acceptance of paper money and established a principle that still governs modern currencies. Money has value because the state demands it for taxes. The bank survived. Over time, the Bank of England became indispensable. It managed government debt, financed wars, and gradually assumed the role of lender of last resort. It outlived rivals like the South Sea Company, survived speculative bubbles, and emerged as the anchor of the financial system. Other nations copied the model. France, Germany, Japan, and eventually the United States followed the same path. Modern money became inseparable from government debt. At its core, the system Paterson invented relies on trust. Money is no longer metal or wood, it is belief. Belief that the state will endure, that taxes will be collected, that tomorrow will arrive. But this system has consequences. Inflation slowly erodes purchasing power. Debt grows endlessly because money itself is created as debt. If all debts were repaid, the money supply would vanish. This system also makes war easier. Governments no longer need immediate taxation to fight. They can borrow from the future, printing money and letting inflation spread the cost over generations. Central banks have enabled both extraordinary growth and unprecedented destruction. William Paterson died poor and largely forgotten, yet his invention reshaped the world. Every credit card swipe, every government deficit, every central bank intervention traces back to his idea. We still live inside the system he built, a system that turns confidence into currency and ambition into debt. It has lasted more than 3 centuries, surviving crises that would have destroyed older systems. Whether it will last forever is an open question, but for now, the pirate's creation still sails on, a vast paper ship floating atop an ocean of promises.